Days of Our Lives, Rafe finds the pod. But is Lexie alive? March 13, spoilers, deep dive. Okay. I need everyone to stop what you're doing right now. Because what is about to go down in Salem on March 13th might just be one of the most emotionally loaded episodes we have seen in years. And I am not exaggerating. I know I say that a lot, but this time I mean it with every fiber of my soap-loving soul. We're talking about a secret lab, a PUD, and the possibility, the terrifying, heart-wrenching possibility that Lexie Carver is still inside it. Can you believe it? So buckle up, because today we are not just going over spoiler photos. No. We are going deep. We're talking character psychology, historical connections, what this all means for Salem's future, and honestly, why E.J. DiMera might be the most complicated villain the show has ever produced. Let's get into it. Setting the stage, E.J.'s secret lab, and the weight of what's coming. Let's start with E.J. Dan Foyer-Regal plays in with this incredible mix of cold calculation and raw, desperate emotion. And I think that tension is exactly why this storyline has me completely hooked. A.J. DiMera has a secret lab in the hospital basement. And listen, when I say secret lab, I know that in a normal context, that sounds completely unhinged. But this is Salem. Secret labs are practically a tradition at this point. The DiMeras have been running underground operations for decades. Stefano had cryogenic chambers. The island happened. Andre had tunnels. So in the grand tapestry of DiMera villainy, a basement lab, almost quaint. But here's the kicker, it's not what the lab is. It's who might be inside it. Because the theory, and at this point it's barely even a theory anymore, the show has been pointing at this for weeks, is that Lexie Carver is in that pod. Lexie, EJ's sister, the woman who died in 2012 after a tumor diagnosis that devastated this entire fan base. I remember watching those final episodes thinking, there is no coming back from this. And yet, here we are. Here we actually genuinely are. Nikki Crawford has already made her day's debut as Lexie, which means the show is committed to this. This isn't a dream sequence. This isn't a flashback. This is a full, real, ongoing resurrection storyline. And I have so many feelings about it. Rafe gets into the lab. Finally. Now, the spoilers for March 13th tell us that Rafe Hernandez, played by the always dependable Galen Gehring, finally makes it into EJ's lab. And he finds the pod. But does he find Lexie inside? That is the question that is going to have every single one of us hitting the replay button and screaming at our screens. Let's be real for a second. Rafe has been somewhat sidelined this season. Alex basically had to drag him back into relevance by asking for his help finding Stephanie. Which, by the way, is a little ironic considering Rafe is literally a former police commissioner. The Salem PD really has hit rock bottom when a grieving new husband has more leads than the entire department. But I digress. The point is, Rafe stumbling into that lab is huge. He is not DiMera. He has no personal stake in protecting whatever EJ is doing down there. He will call it out. He will not look the other way. And if Lexie is in that pod conscious, alive, aware, watching Rafe react to that in real time is going to be extraordinary television. Think about Rafe's history with the Carvers for a second. He was close with Abe. He respects that family. Finding Lexie in some kind of suspended state in her brother's basement science project, that's not just a plot twist, that's a moral earthquake. E.J. DiMera monster, or desperate brother. And this brings me to the part of this analysis I am most passionate about. Because I genuinely think the discourse around EJ right now is a little too simple. Yes, Kat is about to give EJ an earful in these March 13th scenes. And yes, Paulina has called him out. Belle has called him out. Kristen, Kyla, the list goes on. Salem's favorite hobby truly is telling EJ DiMera that he's the worst person alive. And look, I get it. He has done terrible things. I am not here to canonize the man. But the worst person in Salem, I think that's lazy storytelling on the part of the other characters. And honestly, I think the show knows it too. Because what EJ appears to be doing in that lab is not random evil for evil's sake. He may be trying to bring back his sister. His dead sister, the one person in the DiMera family who was genuinely good, the one person who represented the possibility that you could carry that name and still be decent. I think EJ has been quietly broken since Lexie died. And I think this lab, whatever the moral complications of it is, the act of a man who never stopped grieving, that doesn't make it right. But it makes it human. And that complexity is what separates EJ from being a cartoon villain and makes him one of the most compelling characters on daytime television right now. Many fans just want him punished and written off. I want him redeemed. Slowly, painfully, messily, but genuinely redeemed. And a Lexie resurrection could be the catalyst for that entire arc. The Stephanie situation, Stockholm Syndrome, or something real. Okay, let's pivot to the other major storyline. This episode is pushing forward the Stephanie and Jeremy situation because this one is complicated and I have thoughts. Stephanie Johnson has been locked up with Jeremy Horton for what the show lovingly describes as an indeterminate amount of time. Time in Salem is elastic. We all know this. Could be hours. Could be weeks. The show is not going to commit to a timeline, and honestly, at this point, neither are we. But here's what's interesting. Stephanie has moved from distrust and active dislike of Jeremy to something that sounds a lot like warmth. Maybe even attraction. Now, I want to be careful here, because on one hand, bonding under extreme stress is a real psychological phenomenon. Being trapped with someone, sharing fear, depending on each other for comfort, those are the conditions under which real emotional bonds form. I'm not going to dismiss that. But on the other hand, Stephanie just married Alex. Like, very recently, the ink is barely dry on that certificate. And Alex is out there losing his mind with worry. Turning to Rafe because the police are useless. Trying everything he can to find her. And she's having a moment with Jeremy. I'm not judging Stephanie as a person. I'm judging the situation. And I think the show is very deliberately creating friction in this new marriage before it even has a chance to breathe. Classic Days. Honestly, they cannot let anyone be happy for more than a single sweep cycle. What I'll say is this: Jeremy Horton as a character has always been underutilized. Michael Rourke brings an energy to him that I find genuinely compelling. And if this storyline is what finally gives Jeremy a real redemption arc and a meaningful place in Salem's canvas, I'm here for it. I just feel bad for Alex, who is clearly the collateral damage in this plot. Steve and Brady zero and the real culprit revealed. Meanwhile, Steve Johnson and Brady Black, two men who have been through more trauma than any human beings should reasonably endure, have apparently figured out that Jeremy is not Stephanie's kidnapper, which is progress. Real, tangible progress. Amazing. So who is the real culprit? The spoilers are being cagey, which means the show wants us to be surprised. And you know what? I respect that. I'm not going to speculate wildly, but I will say that in Salem, the kidnapper almost always has a personal connection to the victim. It's never truly random. So whoever took Stephanie did it for a reason. And that reason is almost certainly connected to something from her past or her family's past. The Johnsons have enemies. A lot of them, Steve and Kayla, have been targets so many times that at this point, targeting anyone connected to them is practically a Salem rite of passage. So I'm watching this reveal very closely. March 13th feels like a genuine turning point episode. Rafe finding that pod is not the end of the Lexie storyline, it's the beginning of the public reckoning with it. Once Rafe knows, the secret starts to crack. And once the secret cracks, EJ's entire carefully constructed justification for what he's been doing gets exposed to the harsh light of everyone else's judgment. Will Lexie be alive in that pod? I believe yes. I think the show has invested too much in Nikki Crawford's introduction to pull back now. And I think the emotional payoff of Lexie waking up not just for EJ, but for Abe.